You've called the European Union undemocratic. Could you elaborate on why you think that and how in some areas it might directly oppose English law?
Well, it opposes English law in many ways, but if you was to look at a separate entity of the European Union, which is the European Convention on Human Rights, the difference between the English Bill of Rights and the European Convention on Human Rights is the European Convention on Human Rights are qualifiable rights. That means if there is some sort of emergency, the government creates the emergency, and the law courts then can then say we removed that right because there's an emergency. The English Bill of Rights, they are inalienable. You cannot take them away. The government can't create an emergency and take them rights off you. But here's the kicker: people don't realise that the English Bill of Rights came from a convention parliament. It is more powerful than the European Convention on Human Rights. The way our judges are trained is completely wrong. They are misinstructed because of the slow march through the institutions of Marxism and communism. And just to make sure everyone's aware of this, fascism and communism are both on the left. So Nazis and communists are both on the left because they're both authoritarian. The English, or Englishmen like me, do not believe in authoritarian government.
There are so many people screaming for us to leave the ECHR, and the government turns around and some politicians turn around, they give really long, wordy answers about how that's not possible. And then there are other politicians, particularly more on the right, who are saying, no, it is possible, it's just that no one has the guts. Who is right, and can we actually leave the ECHR? And if we did, what would that look like?
We can 100% leave. Just to make sure everyone's aware of this, we should never have been in the European Union in the first place. The English Bill of Rights has a clause called the Supremacy Clause, and it was unconstitutional, ultra-vires, to enter into a European Union or a European Court of Human Rights. Strasbourg should have absolutely no authority over English people whatsoever. Whoever says they just haven't got the guts is absolutely true. I mean, I've got one book here, which is the Halsbury's Laws of England, right, which tells you about our constitution. So just to make sure everyone's aware of this, people out there saying we haven't got a constitution. Well, if we haven't got a constitution, why is it do we live in a constitutional monarchy? How were the courts created? And how was the judiciary created? How have we got a separation of powers, which we have got? And the answer is because we have a constitution. So the next thing that the lefties normally try to tell us, when I say lefties, I mean fascists or communists, they then turn around and say, we haven't got a written constitution. So I'll say, well, if we haven't got a written constitution, why is it in that? Why is it in that, right, which is the statutes? Why is it in the Hamlin Lectures, Sir William Wade, Constitutional Fundamentals, all in writing, by the way? And why have we got the common law constitution by Sir Justice Laws? And all of this is available. Anyone can go and read it and understand what it is. So the answer is our judges have been misinstructed, and a lot of them, and I'll give you an example of someone who is currently in power, Keir Starmer, is a committed Marxist. This book tells you that he should be purged from our system, right? It actually says that. So considering that he's a committed communist or Marxist, what is he doing in government and what is he doing as Prime Minister? And just to make sure everyone's aware, it's not just the Labour Party. It's the Conservative and Union Party are also members of the Fabian Society, committed Marxists. Sadiq Khan, who we arrested in 2018, and the citizen's arrest, he is subverting the English constitution. So all of these people that say, well, how can we actually leave? The easiest way to leave everything, including the United Nations, is to void the Acts of Union. That's the easiest way of doing it. And there's a massive difference between repeal. So lots of people out there that don't really understand the law, including people like Rupert Lowe, and many others talk about repealing acts that have caused problems in our country. Repeal is not the answer, because you get the same problems. When you left the European Union, they should have voided the European Communities Act of 1972. They didn't. They repealed it. And because they repealed it, it's still causing us problems now. So you void it, it means abolish, and that means it was never law. Anything created under that authority is null and void with it. And that's the difference between void and repeal.